going to
We got.
takes up a lot of memory.
I got cloud stories. So here we go, and let me begin. What you had just said, Charlie, you found with Ned Herman's whole brain model, with the questionnaire of the HBDI, that gave you a picture of your mind, as Ned said, suitable for framing in 2 dimensions, and I had said that blew me away. It gave me an insight into who I was that I hadn't gotten from studying Skinner, studying cognitive psychology for my doctorate in 1972, looking at ideational scaffolding or hearing about it or not thinking about it, or 4 years of group therapy. The first time I got this picture, it blew me away, and I said, oh my God, that's who I am. I'm terminally upper right brain, have extreme avoidance in my lower left, and a high usefulness in my lower right, in my musical and emotional.
Right.
And a barely usable, relatively, for my mathematical technical stuff. And I said, that's what it is. And what you had said was, Charlie, have you thought of taking this 2-dimensional thing in a room and an architect? So keep going on that, because that's so important.
Well, it's like, you take things into the XYZ coordinates, up and down, in and out, and left to right, horizontal, and then going in and going up and down, and that's really sort of the world you're in when you're in 3 dimensions. You have to start thinking about what's in the front, and what's in the back, what's on the left, what's on the right, and what's it getting up over it, getting underneath it, and then being able to turn the whole thing. And once you can do that today, using something like like multiple screens in a room, you could actually create and with a wand, with a device where you can sort of like move through the space. You could like literally be in a kind of immersive experience of that. So you could,
Hugh, I feel like I'm. It's the end of Casablanca.
Yeah, I know.
And this is the beginning of a beautiful friendship.
Yeah. Oh, but when I was I think it was about 15 years ago, I was asked by the engineers here if I would be a client. We have a thing for the senior engineering thesis where they have to find a client and then make a hypothetical. Well, they have to make an actual proof of concept. So they said, do you have a concept you'd like to get the kids to work on? So I said, I'd like to get a virtual interface where I can actually play a game of solitaire from sitting in a chair and wearing a pair of polarized glasses and having a projection screen where I've got left eye, right eye coordination going on, so that I could actually touch a card in space where I think it is, and it would flip. See if we can do that. And so they built a gate using plastic piping. They had $350 to do it, and they had a webcam up here, and they had a sensor. So the webcam could see where my finger was, and the sensor would act as a switch. So and I said, could we get a button? Let's just have an on-off. And they were able to do it. So the red button floated in space here, and if I put my hand there, it would turn off.
Right. That's perfect. So,
and it only happened within this gate, so it's like a narrow field of recognition. But they actually got it to the point where each finger of the hand would respond differently. It would recognize the difference between each digit. Now that was 15 years ago.
And but using the metaphor of the brain, mind, and body the body including the limbs and the fingers, and differentiating them and having different functions.
Yeah, I think it's incredibly important because like a lot of dysfunction happens today. There's kinesthetic dysfunction in people's bodies. I learned that I would think better when I was moving. If I could move as I talked, I would think better. I would literally, everything, the synapses would start to sort of snap away much faster. So I developed a whole system of going into the studio.
Whole system?
No, I developed I started making paintings based on this need to be able to operate in a kinesthetic full stretch of my body. It's like the yoga for the mind, if you like.
So in going back to my white box.
But the dimensionality of it, I've been able to reach out into physical space.
I'm with you. The white box, I just decided to think that would be the not the structural, the black box, but the functional framework would be the white box, where you had to decide which are going to be your X and Y and Z axis.
Right, right.
What were the functions of each of those axes? And when I oriented it toward the brain, the back of the brain to the front of the brain, I found it was most useful to use not current day X, Y, and Z allocation, but the depth, the length, to be the x-axis.
Okay.
And the left to right be the y-axis. And the up and down be the z-axis.
Okay.
And by having that configuration of the Cartesian coordinates, it married this white box where I just had a glimpse of one side. No, go ahead. What was it?
The white box. The white box. When you say the white box is basically this visual analog, is it?
It's a visual analog, and the difference is
Why do you call it a box?
because in science and technology, that's what they call it. They say that the structural framework for computers was a black box.
Okay, I got it now. Yeah, right.
And then when you go to black box on Wikipedia,
Yeah.
they say, and by the way, there's a white box. And the difference between a black box and a white box is if in the white box you can see inside of it. And I said, that's what I'm doing. So we're
Transparent. Okay.
it's transparent, and you don't know. You can see inside it, so you got to figure out what's going to be inside of it. And that's where I came up with this x-axis from the back of the brain to the front, the y-axis left and right, the z-axis up and down. And I allocated the functions to the creative process of creativity, back to front. And left to right was the categories of how you group, botanized. You like this, you don't like that. This is
Preferences. Yeah.
preferences.
That was in the what? That was in the up and down.
And that's in the y-axis, the horizontal axis.
The horizontal.
In my schema.
Okay.
From one ear to the other ear.
Right.
And the z-axis were hierarchies or layers of knowledge.
Okay.
So you had three functions of the mind based on the architecture of the brain. X-axis.
So let's just start with one, like creativity, back to front.
Yeah.
So what's at the front? What's at the back? How do you differ? What do you find? What's the processing going on creativity wise?
What I found, and I'm telling you, giving you my end result rather than walking you through the swamp of how I got there, was that there's a single creative process. There's a single algorithm in the brain, and those are the brain waves, and they come in 5 flavors. They come from delta, dreams, theta, daydreams, alpha, meditation, beta, paying attention, and gamma, in the zone. So I was able to differentiate 5 scientifically referenceable phases of the creative process, of different kinds of thinking.
Okay. So if you're in those modes of thinking and you were scanned, you would be in one of those waves.
If you were a Zen meditator,
You'd be producing alpha waves.
you'd be in alpha waves, about 8 something cycles to 12.
Right.
And
So
you'd be mindful.
Right.
That's the middle wave.
Like in a flow.
In a flow. No, not the flow. I'm giving you my lexicon. The mindfulness in the alpha waves. There are whole businesses set up on mindfulness.
Right.
but there's the next step up,
I think it was a flow, but
the beta waves.
Mm-hmm.
That's paying attention, concentrating on a specific object,
Okay.
not letting your mind be open.
Right.
But then when you move out into the gamma waves,
Mm-hmm.
that's when you're in the flow, in the zone.
Okay.
Everything comes together.
Right. Yeah.
And I have taken the creative process and allocated 5 steps to that process. And that dreamlike state I call getting in touch with your passion. The next stage up in theta, that time before when you're just waking up in the morning it's like Northern Lights or 4th of July and ideas are popping in. That's theta stage. That's the mission, the priority, the roles. It's this whole semantic cluster of words. But the word that rhymes to make it rhyme with passion is mission.
It's like first light.
First light. And then the third stage, the meditation, is vision, which can be deconstructed, the visionary state, into problems,
Mm-hmm.
hopes, ideas,
Right.
and evaluation. But the vision is the third stage. And the fourth stage is organization. And in your talk, it's the tools, the teams, the proposals, and the projects in the fourth stage.
That's right. Yeah. And so how does how that works is a whole story in itself, right there.
And when you say the whole story, the creative process is a story.
There's a great reluctance for people to actually work in teams. You know, it's quite. You think it'd be very easy. I think engineers do it better because they have to divide up the problem and they understand dividing up the problem. But a lot of kind of people who sort of work in a kind of free form, loose creativity, think that they are the only person who can do it. You know, and it's very hard for them to lend any of it away.
This is
Because they lose authorship. They think they lose authorship.
and they lose a credit.
Yeah, and they lose credit. That's right, exactly.
And they don't get to be, it was me.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
That issue is another, not the tipping point, but a flipping point in the conceptual age.
Mm.
Back when I was in school, if you collaborated with another student, you could be thrown out of school.
Right, because you're cheating.
And now if you don't collaborate with other students, you don't get to get into school.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I mean, isn't that bizarre?
I know. Yeah.
But we now know that anything is worth doing in an age where you are aware of your mental preferences and therefore probable competencies. That anything worth doing that's going to follow a creative process is going to have to be done as a team,
Yeah.
with tools, and make collaborative proposals, and get a whole array of the world involved.
One of the best piece of artworks I've seen that actually epitomized this question was a film by Andrei Tarkovsky called Andrei Rublev, about the Russian icon painter. And he has been in a vow of silence because of a loss of confidence in himself, and he's not been speaking for 12 years. And then this event occurs where a lot of ambassadors are coming to Russia to see whether Russia has completely fallen apart after the Tatar invasions. And what they have to do is to create a piece of technology to impress everybody. They need to make a silver bell, but all the potters have been killed, so they haven't got anybody to do this. So he's observing all of this, and they were scrambling trying to find somebody who can do this. And they find this boy who said, here's going. I said, I was an assistant. I can do it. I can do it. My father taught me it all. So they said, well, okay, what do we do? So he gets everybody busy, and he finds all the people who've been working on different ceramics projects in the past. He gets them looking for, we should find the right clay, but find the right clay. So they're digging everywhere, and he keeps rejecting it, and then the potters come to him and say, but we've just found this claim and we think it's absolutely great. I can't see what's wrong with it. You know, you can't. This is what we use. And he says, of course.